It's the 26th of June 2016. Welcome to episode 6 of RapBabble. I'm your host, Fluxrope, and Hussein will be with us next week, so it's a solo episode, a short one this time. And so let's jump straight into the news. Attempted murder charge dropped in Troy Ave's case. So Troy Ave has got some luck that he's not going to be facing an attempted murder charge, but it kind of seemed ridiculous because it's unlikely that he shot his own bodyguard. I didn't believe it for a second because they're in a public place. If they had beef, they would have dealt with it away from all of these people. So it was much more likely that it was a battle, one side against the other, shooting each other, and the bodyguard died as a result of the battle, rather than Troy shooting his own bodyguard. So he's avoided that charge, but he is going to be charged with loads of other things: firing a weapon in a club, having a weapon. You know, he's facing some serious time. This is like serious career-stopping type lawsuits and court cases. So, but he's avoided the big one. So he's got some luck from that. Moving on to the next story is Kanye West's Famous video. So he has a song called Famous on his album, and he put out the video for it, and it's kind of strange. It's video footage of like 10 or 12 celebrities in a bed. They're all naked. They have some sheet covering over them, and they're just lying there, all in a row, all together, and they don't move. So the camera just goes along the bed and then back again, and then looks at individual people. And here's the list of people who are in it. It's got Kanye West in the center with Kim Kardashian next to him. It also has Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Caitlyn Jenner, Amber Rose, Ray J, Chris Brown, Donald Trump, Bill Cosby, George W. Bush, and yeah, so it has a lot of people, many people you would not expect. For one, Ray J's there, and Amber Rose is there, so two exes, firstly. And then Bill Cosby, and George W. Bush, and Donald Trump. These are strange choices. And I just don't understand the video. Nothing moves in it at all. It's not even really worth watching. I mean, you could just look at the photo of it, and then that'll be the entire video. You don't really need to go through it. And it's interesting that Taylor Swift is in it because he mentions her, and they disagree on whether she was okay with the line about her being in the song or not, which is small, but I just expected her to just avoid and ignore Kanye West, and here she is, half naked in his video. Also, Kanye looks a bit buff. He's been working out. He's looking good. And you do get one kind of shocking thing is you do get to see Rihanna and Taylor Swift are there, and they're topless as well. And then when you look at it, it's kind of shocking, and then it goes from arousing to art because they're not moving at all, and they're not really acting seductively. So when you see them topless there, it just, like, after 2 seconds, it just feels like nude art. So it's interesting that it had that effect, and that Kanye West is trying to make art anyway, so he is in that vein of people. And it's fascinating that happened because I've seen nude art before and hadn't really thought much of it, but in this case I know of the models at least, and yeah, it became nude art. So it was interesting, that part. That was the most fascinating part. The rest of it was just strange. So maybe have a look at the photo, but there's no point in watching the video. I mean, there's no action. I wish there was some kind of movement. There needs to be. It's a music video, and you want something to focus on. And I don't really want them moving because they're all in a bed naked together. And they're in a giant bed. It's like when you're kids and you're lined up in the bed. There's like 4 of you in there. That's what it's like. So Donald Trump's there, and he's trying to run for president now, so I'm surprised A, he has the time, and B, he would even choose to do it. And I guess he gets on with Kanye West. I mean, maybe they're similar kinds of people. They're both outspoken, definitely. All right. So the third story is Power Season 3 debuts. I'm a big fan of the TV show Power, which has 50 Cent as an executive producer. And it's the story of a drug empire, which is hidden behind a club. So that's the legitimate cover. And there are two main characters there who are running the business. One who's very much a businessman, one who wants to be a legitimate businessman and has the side project in the back making money. And he's cleaning the money through the club. And the other one who just is a stone cold drug dealer. He just wants to make as much money as possible, and he loves the business. And I was gripped by the first two seasons. It's shorter than a lot of other shows, and that makes it more powerful. It's very continuous as well. So it's one big story rather than lots of little stories. And the acting is really good. It has a feel to it that is powerful. And I used to watch Empire, and then I kind of got bored of that. It felt a bit too much like a soap opera, and I jumped on the Power train, and now I'm fully on that. And 50 Cent appears, actually. He was going to be the main character, which wouldn't have been a great idea because, well, he doesn't have the time, which is, I think, the reason. But he's not a great actor, so he shouldn't be taking any lead roles. But, the executives would have said that will bring in money, so it's a good idea. But he didn't do it in the end, which is brilliant. He does play a character called Kanan, who is pretty much 50 Cent from Get Rich or Die Trying days, or actually slightly before that. So yeah, he's a stone cold. He's a thug. He's pretty brutal in the show, and he's ruthless. And the camera makes him an important character, so it's interesting. It's interesting the way that they show him, and I think that's because it's played by 50 Cent, they give this character so much more weight and so much more time and power than they would to any other character, which I think is it doesn't need it. I'm not fond of Kanan in the show, actually. I think they give him too much time, and they make him a superhero. He could beat up anyone. There are several scenes where he just thrashes people, and the director doesn't make the other person fight back. They're powerless. He's almost like the Incredible Hulk. And his character there's a lot wrong with his character. I think it was a character made for the famous guy rather than for the story. But he does get involved in the story. He does mix in with the other characters later on. So I do like the fact that they brought this other character in. So I don't like Kanan overall, but there are some good parts about Kanan. And I'm a big 50 Cent fan, so it's good to see that. And he is that character as well. He has been that character. So there's an authenticity to that character. Yeah, so Power Season 3 is starting now. And there was a big event for it. And all the actors and even the writer came out to speak, which is really good to hear from the writer. And 50 Cent was there. And I'm looking forward to watching it. The fourth story is a producer claims that Drake's bodyguard was ordered to attack him. And this guy has had his jaw broken, and he's suing Drake. So this guy, his name is Detail. He's produced for Beyonce, Lil Wayne, and Wiz Khalifa and Akon. And he's suing Drake for the attack. He was offered a job in 2014 by Drake as a producer solely for him. He probably would have joined the OVO record label that Drake has. He has a handful of producers that work extensively with him. He would have joined that group, and they're quite good actually. Those other producers, he's got an interesting group around him. So that was in early 2014. The producer Detail decided not to go with it because he didn't want to be an exclusive producer for one person, especially when you're not doing their entire album. Like if it's Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre and Eminem, he's doing their entire album. I'd be okay with that, but if you're just one of five and you get 2 songs on his album, then I wouldn't be happy with that. Although he does do the features as well. I've seen Drake bring producers along for features. So that's interesting. So the producer was then invited to Calabasas in California, where Drake has a place. And he was brought along, and so the producer then claims that in this place here, he was brought in and then he was attacked. And there are quotes from TMZ that are from the lawsuit, at least, where the bodyguard says, "I will hit you again. Do you think Drake is soft? You think Drake's a punk?" Which is kind of hilarious because he's not there. Drake's not doing any of this, so it doesn't make you look hard with bodyguards. So the question is, does any of this have any weight to it? And with most court cases, I kind of feel like it's one way or the other. I have an inkling on what's happened, but in this one, I have no idea. Drake has no history of violence himself or his bodyguards. Him ordering people to attack anyone. So he hasn't nothing that's come up in the media, at least. And this kind of thing does happen with when you get big. Everyone comes out to try and sue you for anything they can, and some people make up stories. So, but then we shouldn't assume that this guy's a liar. So it could go either way. So I'm totally unsure which way, who is right, who is wrong. It's completely 50-50 for me. So the best thing to do is just wait and see. Maybe Drake did it, maybe he didn't. Maybe the producer's trying to get money, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, it's his first big public lawsuit where he's battling someone. But he's battling someone as well. He's had lawsuits fought over him for his record contract, but I haven't seen anything where he's actually done any wrong. And he's quite far in his career to not have any problems, so he's done quite well as a rapper. He didn't really come up in the rough areas where they're more likely to get in trouble and have trouble follow them, like Troy Ave, for instance. So rap is different, but he's been pretty clean until now. No problems with paying people, no problems with attacking people, no nothing. So Drake's had a clean record, and it shows. He's at the top of his game, he's at the top of the industry. He hasn't made any mistakes so far. So and this could be just paid off. He's so rich anyway. Even if he didn't do it, lawyers would tell him just pay the guy off, just to get the story away. Because so we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated on this story. I'm interested in this story. And I'm fascinated by this, how there's so little to it. It's one very small incident. And there's just so little to it. It's not a complicated case at all. So I'll keep you posted. The last story, this one goes back quite far. So the suspect of a murder of a rapper in 1999... his name was Big L. He's from Harlem. He was associated with Mason Cameron. And he was killed in 1999. And the guy who they charged with the murder has now been killed. Well, he was charged with the murder, but the case didn't stick because they didn't have enough evidence, so they let him go. So it's not known whether he actually did it or not. But he has now been killed. So the original case fell apart due to lack of evidence, as reported by DNA Info New York. The alleged murderer had a long rap sheet. He came out of prison in 2015. He did 4 years for weapons charge, and he was a suspect in 4 other murders. So this guy was not a great guy, and now he's dead as well. And it's a shame that there is so much violence that is connected to hip-hop. I mean, this guy wasn't a rapper or wasn't connected, but the fact that he was a suspect in a rapper's death, there's a connection there. And it's sad, even if he did do it, it's not good that people are dying. So this is not a good story at all. But I did want to talk about Big L because I thought Big L he has an album. He only released one album alive, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, in 1995. Oh, another thing to report, by the way, is the 2 guys that I just mentioned, they were friends who they fell out. Something street related. It was Big L was part of a crew that robbed drug dealers, and then I don't know what happened out of that, but it was a beef surrounded by that kind of element was involved, and they were friends before that, which is another sad fact. If the guy did do it, it's sad when that kind of thing happens, killing a friend or being killed by a friend. But anyway, going back to Big L, let's talk about Big L and his career, because I heard the Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, and it's brilliant. He is a wordsmith. The closest person I can think of is Eminem, and just like Eminem, he's a word gymnastic. He tries to just put words together. Like, he's not necessarily trying to tell you a story. That comes second to him. The first most important thing is just putting rhymes together, and he structures it flawlessly. And he's putting anything that rhymes, but that's what's important to him, making more and more rhymes, and he's just technically brilliant at it. And it's such a shame that he was killed after his first album, because he would have been remembered as one of the greats. You know, there's a top tier of rappers, like, for instance, so Biggie and Tupac are there, but then also you have Rakim and Big Pun, and you have this top tier, Jay-Z, but that was kind of in the early days maybe. But there are these top tier rappers, and Rakim is a good example because he's not popular now, but people love him. And he is an amazing wordsmith. Even later on, he was on the Dr. Dre album. He was on the Jay-Z album later on, 2002, and he just still sounded amazing. He puts things together so well, and it's a shame he's not doing well now. But Big L would have been in that category, you know, and he was that good. He would have been there with Eminem as well, actually. And even Eminem's not celebrated as much as he should be in hip hop. That's a cultural thing, though. Big L is it within the culture. He feels he's within the culture, and therefore he would have been praised up there with Big Pun as well. So it's a shame that his life ended so early, because he had so much potential. So I advise everyone to go back and check out Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. Big L is amazing. All right, that's all the stories I have for you this week. We'll be back next week, both of us. Back with news and reviews of albums. So, and also we have several pages up, so it'd help us a lot if you go and like us on Facebook, and we have Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Audio Mac, and the website rapbabble.com. So if you go there, and you can download the episodes. We have an RSS feed as well, so that you can get the episodes come into your phone or computer. And if anyone wants to be a host as well, email us at rapbabble@gmail.com. See you next week.